Hello everyone, this is Pat Traymore bringing you another episode of Footnotes. We continue our story in 1912 where the castles were the rage of Paris society. It was at this time that Irene became the fashion icon of the world. Irene achieved international acclaim through her relationship with Lady Duff Gordon, a British fashion designer. Lady Duff Gordon was an innovator in couture styles and an expert in public relations. With the help of Lady Duff Gordon, the castle's success was widely reported back in New York. In the spring of 1912, the castles prepared for their triumphant return to New York, traveling on the White Star Line. Lady Duff Gordon traveled a few weeks ahead of Vernon and Irene Castle to prepare things for them. She traveled on the ill-fated RMS Titanic. Coincidentally, you can see a depiction of Lady Duff Gordon in the 1997 film of Titanic. Luckily for Lady Duff Gordon, she survived the sinking of the Titanic. A short time after Titanic's sinking, Vernon and Irene Castle boarded her sister ship, the RMS Olympic. They traveled with their dogs, Kiki and Tell. Irene spent most of her time holding her dogs in fear of having the Olympic hit an iceberg. Fortunately for them, they arrived safely in New York for their debut at the Café de l'Opéra. Café de l'Opéra was the most lavish restaurant in New York, and it was a perfect spot for the castles to introduce their new dance. The Café de l'Opéra was showcased with 18,000 electric lights and bronze statues from the Middle East. With marble floors and gold ceilings, with no expenses spared, it cost millions of dollars to build. Cast in Egyptian style, the silver service cost $1 million in 1910. It's safe to say that Irene was impressed by Café de l'Opéra with all its splendor and amenities. Yours truly was impressed as well. Here's where you can see some original artifacts from the Café de l'Opéra. These Egyptian silver spoons were part of the original silver service. Today, all that remains from the Café de l'Opéra are these silver spoons. It was here that the castles performed each night, and this performance brought them great success. This success led them to partner with a theatrical agent, Miss Elizabeth Marbury. Elizabeth Marbury was the most successful theatrical agent in New York. She lived openly with her partner, Elise de Wolfe. With her help, the castles enjoyed a string of Broadway hits. There was The Sunshine Girl in 1913, followed by Watch Your Step in 1914. Watch Your Step featured the first score ever written by Irving Berlin. Irene's dresses for the show were designed by her friend, Lady Duff Gordon, under the label of Lucille. The show was a smash hit, causing America to go officially dance crazy. The castles taught lessons by day and performed at night. With a high demand for lessons, Elizabeth Marbury suggested that they construct a school and call it Castle House. Miss Marbury and her lover, Elise de Wolfe, acquired the building on 46th Street across from the Ritz-Carlton. Alice de Wolf was the designer for this lavish school that featured 2 live orchestras. A unique choice by the Castles was to employ an African-American orchestra. The music was conducted under the baton of James Reese Europe. The school featured private lessons, group lessons, and tea service besides dancing. Women of high society took lessons from Vernon at Castle House. They included Mrs. Stuyvesant Fish, Mrs. Anthony Drexel, and Mrs. Oliver Hireman. Irene had the pleasure of teaching Mr. William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper tycoon. The founding of Castle House led them to the height of their success, with many more to follow. The story will continue in our next chapter.